Welcome back to Watch the Bookerman and to episode number 85 of Paul Heyman's TNA. This show is Sacrifice 2011 and we begin as always with a pay-per-view video package. It's the fairly cliched motif of highlighting the sacrifice that every member of the TNA roster makes when competing inside the six sides. Time away from their families, the physical pain, the mental anguish and the constant pressure to compete at the very highest level. Every man and every woman on tonight's card has dedicated their lives to reaching this point. Tonight, they will continue to do what they've done, sacrifice themselves in pursuit of success, championship titles, or just personal pride. Despite everything that they have given so far, the competitors will continue to push themselves to reach new levels and will do so tonight live on pay-per-view. Mauro and Taz then run through the card that we've got coming up. Focus finally turning to the unsanctioned main event, Bobby Lashley and Kurt Angle versus the Kings of Wrestling. We do note that there is no titles on the line in this match due to it not technically being a TNA sanctioned match. An okay rating for the video package as we go into the first match of the night, the X Division title match, and we wanted to send these two guys out. It's not that good of a rating, to be fair. Tyler Black doing well. Roderick Strong's levels, it's not really where we want him to be, and Tyler Black does retain his title. Defense number 1, he won it at last month's pay-per-view. He retains it cleanly with a God's last gift, and we have to say that Tyler Black, he has Roderick Strong's number. Every time they've stepped foot in a ring together, he has been able to come out on top. That's something that Roderick Strong is going to have to try and overcome, but Tyler Black stands tall, raising his championship, delighted with another victory, and hopefully, even though the rating wasn't that good, that's the kind of match that you open a pay-per-view with and already you're getting the crowd hot from the very beginning. We then move into the second match, the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, and an injury for Hamada here, so I don't know how long that's going to keep her out for, but broken ribs not had too much of an effect on the overall rating of the match, so we can assume it came pretty close to the end, but the beautiful people defeat Hamada and Taylor Wilde in 9 minutes and 22, love pinning Hamada while grabbing a handful of tights, so not majorly cheating, but there's still that tainted aspect to the win. Hamada and Taylor Wilde will not be happy with that, but this is defense number 2 for the beautiful people, and while some of the individual ratings are pretty good, it's still just an average match. Jerry Lynn letting us know there that Hamada is injured. The beautiful people celebrating their second successful title defense. Despite the questionable tactics used, they have made a good start to their Knockouts Tag Team Championship reign. We then move into a video package that looks back at the history of Monsters Ball. It highlights Abyss's involvement in every single one of the previous matches. I think there's one that he didn't wrestle in, but I think that was a Knockouts Monsters Ball and he was at ringside. Footage is shown from the most recent example of the match and the one that's been really played into for the build up to this match, the emphasis of the fallout for Jay Lethal following his defeat to Abyss. He enjoyed a very successful run in 2010, just like Bryan Danielson has since coming to the company, but tonight Danielson risks succumbing to the fate that has followed Jay Lethal since Monsters Ball, since he lost at Bound for Glory to Abyss, lost his global championship, relationship issues, not been able to pick up that momentum, Lethal not in a good way recently, but Danielson has the chance to pick up the biggest victory in his TNA career, so he isn't focusing on the potential negatives. Following the package, both Abyss and Bryan Danielson are shown on a split screen, leaving the isolation rooms that they've been in. It's been 24 hours, no food, no drink, no light. As Bryan Danielson leaves his room, we see Jay Lethal lurking in the background. He doesn't interact with Bryan Danielson. Some people might not even notice him there, but he is there in the background. So something of a question hanging over the match there. And we go into the third match of the night, that Monsters Ball, described as having great heat and good wrestling, and we are just in Abyss's backyard here. Everything about this match is tailor-made for him, and that's what we go through. The weapons, the violence, a wild brawl match. But eventually, Bryan Danielson is able to lock in a label lock. Abyss tries to power out of it, but Danielson just keeps getting him back in this situation, in the middle of the six sides. Eventually, Abyss passes out, the referee calling a stoppage. What a huge win for Bryan Danielson. We still haven't changed his image, but stopping the Monster Abyss, something nobody has been able to do for almost 2 years now. We really want this to feel like a star-making moment. The commentators going overboard, and the key thing being that it was his technical ability that allowed him to defeat Abyss at his own game. He stands tall, having had so much taken out of him, obviously during the match. Chairs, tables, everything that normally comes into play in those matches. James Mitchell at ringside, as Abyss starts to come round, is in complete shock. He never thought this was possible. Bryan Danielson taking down his son and doing what nobody in the company has been able to do for such a long time. That is the first, I suppose you count Kurt Angle defeating him in the last man standing match, but that is the first decisive win that we've had for Abyss, where he's in the middle of the ring. There can be no doubt, no questions and no excuses, and hopefully that puts over Bryan Danielson in a huge way and legitimizes him. Jay Lethal couldn't do it, but Bryan Danielson was capable, and what a performance he put in tonight. We then go into the tag team dream match that we spoke about. A 71's okay. I might have hoped for better. Storm and Rude doing really well, to be fair to them, and I think it's just a case of us not having Eddie and Davey up to the popularity and momentum levels of the other guys, but it is them who pick up the victory. Davey Richards defeating James Storm, it says with a shooting star press. The match gets the crowd buzzing. We did put the steal the show note on this. It's not going to do that, but happy with the match overall, and it is a huge win for the American Wolves. Like they said 24 hours previously on Evolve, they are a match for anybody in the so-called best tag team division of all time. That's what we've tried to dub this TNA tag team division, and Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards showing that they have the potential to stand above even the very best teams in that division. A massive win for them, and of course gives a little bit of bragging rights, a little bit more credibility to the claims that those guys have been making. They felt hard done by. Well, when you see the performance levels of Richards and Edwards here, you could say they do have a reasonable argument. We then go into the Knockouts Championship match, the fifth match of the night, and it is Sara Del Rey defending against her fellow New Age member Alyssa Flash, and it's a completely even match. Disappointing to see there that they don't click, but a 57 is still an okay rating. Would have expected a lot worse with negative chemistry, to be fair. Both putting in okay performances, but we know that they could do better if they were in there with somebody who they have a little bit more chemistry with. And a big part of the story of this match is them being on an absolute even keel. Everything Sara Del Rey can do, Alyssa Flash is able to match her. Eventually, Flash gets her in the inverted cloverleaf that she used to defeat Roxy on Impact this past Thursday. It looks like she's going to win, but Daisy Hayes gets up on the apron, distracting the referee. On the outside, perhaps the bigger betrayal, Miss Chiff, the former tag team partner, they held championship gold together. She grabs the hair of Alyssa Flash, pulling her off Sara Del Rey. As Flash is then distracted, Del Rey can get back up to her feet, hit the double underhook suplex, that royal butterfly, and pin Alyssa Flash. But the commentators are sure that if that outside involvement hadn't have happened, if the New Age members hadn't betrayed Alyssa Flash, we would have a new Knockouts champion tonight. As it is the 8th successful defense for the TNA Knockouts champion, and with Flash down in the ring, Mischief and Daisy Hayes join Sara Del Rey in the ring. Despite still having her championship, there's not a celebratory mood for the New Age. It's not like they wanted to do this, it's not like they wanted to screw Alyssa Flash. They felt that they had to do it. Sara Del Rey is the crown jewel of the female side of the New Age, and if Alyssa Flash was going to threaten that, unfortunately, they had to take action, but it's not something they're pleased with. There's no arrogance about it. They're kind of a bit downbeat about what they had to do to somebody who they consider such a close friend. The 6th match of the night has good heat and decent wrestling, and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, the makeshift team, despite them of course having plenty of previous history together, they are able to defeat ANX. So in terms of the TNA versus Ring of Honor on the night, American Wolves beat Bear Money, but AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels defeated All Night Express, so that makes it 1-1 going into the Ring of Honor World Championship match later. AJ Styles, of course, the best performer, and 85 is really good. Daniels doing as we expect from him, despite being off his game. Note there to change Rhett Titus's gimmick potentially, but again getting the crowd hotter, and it is a decent match actually. Happy with that, and the finish comes when AJ Styles pins Rhett Titus following a BME and frog splash combo. So despite them not being friends and not being on the best of terms, we still see that tag team chemistry of all the years of knowing each other is still there. It is a combination move that wins them the match. With that said, it is not a combination when they celebrate. They go to separate sides of the ring, AJ on one turnbuckle, Christopher Daniels on one on the other side. They celebrate their victory, both very happy for TNA to prove something over Ring of Honor, but nonetheless, we're not saying that these guys are anything like friends. We then get a video package for the 7th match of the night. We've done a 9-match card here. It kind of happened without me realising. I thought I had 8, which is the upper limit that I like to do on a normal pay-per-view. I will go more on Bound for Glory and on Slammiversary, but 9 does feel a little bit too much. It's just the way it went and we had to fit everything on. But we get a video package for one of the matches that I'm most looking forward to, the personal rivalry between Mickie James and Tara. It looks back on their successful run as a tag team between Bound for Glory when they won the titles and Lockdown when they lost them. And as soon as they lost those belts, Tara turned on Mickie James, unleashing what we later found out was months of frustration inside the 6 Sides of Steel. Tara showed a completely different side to herself that resulted in the demise of their team. Since Lockdown, Tara's looked to smear the reputation of Mickie James at every opportunity, looking to the beautiful people to corroborate the idea that Mickie James is an egomaniac, that she doesn't really care about the fans, and that she's only in this for her own personal gain. Mickie refused to take this lying down, and she said that with the fans behind her, she is very passionate about having the support of the people. She is ready to take Tara down. And we go into that match, which a 65 is a pretty good rating. I would be interested, I don't know whether I'll be able to see it on the top 100s, but to rank which are the best knockouts matches that we've had, because I think that will be up there as one of the better ones. But in 14 minutes and 17, after what is more of a fight than a match really, Mickie James picks up the victory, getting the vindication following the attack at Lockdown, hitting a roundhouse kick to her former partner Tara. Mickie with a better performance on the night, and that should stand her in good stead for what we have planned next. The storyline, of course, continuing with that match, Mickie standing tall. She had to dig extremely deep to beat her former partner, and we see that there is something of an emotional reaction from Mickie James, just putting over how much the tag team meant to her, how much this whole month has got to her. But now she has that vindication of proving herself to be the better woman, and she celebrates with the fans who mean so much to her. We then get another video package which looks at the recent infiltration of those ROH guys into TNA, with a number of Ring of Honor alumni making their presence known on Impact and Evolve and on pay-per-views over the last few months. With a chip on their shoulder following the closure of Ring of Honor, the All Night Express and the American Wolves joined Austin Aries in making their mark on the promotion. We've seen examples of that just on tonight's show, and they're looking to ensure that the legacy of Ring of Honor continues. We then see footage from the most recent Ring of Honor show, although it was technically put on by TNA, the 9th anniversary event, where Austin Aries and Samoa Joe, with the Ring of Honor World Championship on the line, went to a 60-minute time limit draw. Tonight, that title will once again be defended by Austin Aries in the rematch of that extremely even contest from 3 months ago. Don't expect this one to go an hour again, of course, because we're on a much tighter time schedule here, and the Ring of Honor World Championship match ends with Austin Aries defeating Samoa Joe in 18 minutes and 43. It's a 78. Considering the individual ratings aren't actually that good, I'm pleased with how that's come out overall. Austin Aries making defense number 2 of the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title, and it's the championship itself that he uses to pick up the victory. At the end of Impact, he tried to clock Samoa Joe with it. Joe ducked and hit the Muscle Buster, and we play on that for the finish. Austin Aries swings the belt, but this time is able to keep hold of it. Joe goes for the Muscle Buster, but Aries can slip out, referee distracted, and he hits him with the championship title. Joe is down and out, and Aries picks up the 1, 2, 3, putting him over further as a heel, of course. We didn't want to give him the clean victory over somebody like Samoa Joe, but Aries hopefully getting even more hated by the tactics that he's decided to use there. We have had quite a bit of interference and outside involvement tonight, but I think because this is kind of a setup pay-per-view, Sacrifice followed by Slammiversary, which is one of the biggest of the year, we're trying to set the wheels in motion as early as we can to ensure that we've got the best possible build for Slammiversary, and we want everything to happen tonight on Sacrifice to have an immediate reaction on Impact so we can keep the momentum going. So not to downplay this pay-per-view, considering it's not got a World Championship match of TNA, perhaps you could say it's very much a B show, but it's all about, for me, setting up for Slammiversary to be the best show it possibly can be. And with Austin Aries still holding the Ring of Honor Championship, we're sure that there's going to be some Ring of Honor presence on that show. He stands tall, the same belt, of course, that he used to clock Samoa Joe with, and he looks absolutely delighted with himself. We then go into the main event. Of course, there'd probably be a video package discussion from the commentators, but there were already more than enough segments on this show, so I've not put those in. But of course, on every pay-per-view, there is obviously that little bit of time between the matches where the commentators talk about something or you throw to some sort of advert, whatever it is. But we go now into the unsanctioned match, and I think with these matches, it's a solid main event for sure. I think it's good to have some kind of different feel, so I know that some companies have changed the lighting, turned it a little bit darker. I'd like us to actually change the apron so there's not the TNA logo on it, and just the idea here that this is something very different from what we've seen on the rest of the card, something to separate it, draw the line in the sand that this is now unsanctioned. Funnily enough, I did just notice that Sacrifice 2010 was when I did the other unsanctioned match in this save, so it's pretty fitting that just by chance that's happened again. Bobby Lashley was involved in that, and it was when AJ Styles wasn't cleared to compete, but he agreed that he would fight in an unsanctioned fight just to get his hands on Bobby Lashley, of course, as we built to Lashley-Kurt Angle at Slammiversary last year. And it's those two men tonight who face the Kings of Wrestling in the main event. And given this is a fight, it can go anywhere, all around the ringside area. We end up coming towards the finish with just Bobby Lashley and Chris Hero in the ring. It looks like Lashley is getting the better of Hero when, given that there's no rules, Tyler Black and Jimmy Jacobs come out. They're going to come and try and help the Kings of Wrestling pick up that victory, and with Kurt Angle nowhere to be seen, it is a 3-on-1 situation for Bobby Lashley. However, the lights go down. Following a brief moment of confusion, the lights return, and Sting is in the ring with a baseball bat held to the throat of Jimmy Jacobs. Jacobs is taken down, then Tyler Black is taken down. Sting is able to clear the ring of the guys who aren't supposed to be involved. The lights then go out and Sting disappears. He came to even the score, and as quickly as he arrived, he is no longer anywhere to be seen. Bobby Lashley is then left with Chris Hero and hits him with a spear. A 1, 2, 3, following another violent, brutal match on the card. It's only 18 minutes and 16, but it does get a very good rating. Hero, the second best performer, then Castagnoli, and then Bobby Lashley. But I'm really happy with everybody in that. It's another match with a bit of outside interference, but I think the return of Sting more than makes up for that, and that is a really good way to end the pay-per-view. With Sting gone as quickly as he appeared, Bobby Lashley remains in the ring following the match, the Icon of course to thank for a huge assist in that victory. On the outside, Kurt Angle takes his championship, which wasn't defended of course, from ringside and rejoins his partner inside the six sides. He lays his title on the canvas in order to raise the arm of Bobby Lashley, something that at the beginning of 2011 would have seemed extremely unlikely. Going back to Lockdown 2010, these guys have not liked, in fact going back to Lashley's initial debut in TNA at Lockdown 2009, so we're very much a 2-year relationship of animosity between these two, and we see that tonight there is at least some kind of respect or trust between them. Kurt Angle has clearly not forgotten about their issues as he takes a preemptive shot at Bobby Lashley, hitting him with an angle slam onto the centre plate of the World Championship that is laid on the canvas. Kurt Angle stands over Bobby Lashley, getting in the first strike you could say, or maybe he sees after that incredible performance tonight, after being the one to pick up the pinfall victory for his team, Angle may be a little bit worried about just how good Bobby Lashley looked, the World Heavyweight Champion standing tall, as he pretty much does on every pay-per-view. This time he was supposed to be stood tall with somebody else, but he ensured that it was just him. So something we've definitely not seen from Kurt Angle before, a little bit of insecurity you could say. He's been the most confident, cool, calm and collected character we've had so far. Whereas now, with Lashley, that potential threat of somebody who he knows still has his eye on the World Heavyweight Championship, he makes sure that message is sent loud and clear, and while we lose heat to the storyline, we will be setting up new storylines for the next shows going forward, so I'm not too bothered about that. A 77 is okay, and I'm going to praise pretty much the same people we praise all the time. Kurt Angle gets praise, Chris Hero gets praise, and AJ Styles gets some praise. We're not going to go overboard because they're probably sick of getting it anyway. They're all happy with the speech, and I'm very happy with how Sacrifice 2011 has gone, not least because of what it sets up going forward. Slammiversary is a show that I always want to have that huge build. I'm already looking forward to Slammiversary 2012, but before then we have the 9th anniversary show for TNA. I've got a lot of stuff with pay-per-view deals and TV deals to sort out now, but I'm really happy with the state of the company at the minute, and I do think that as we build to this next month, we are only going to build more intrigue and more interest. Hopefully you'll come back for that. Thank you for watching Sacrifice 2011, and we'll be back with the next episode next week.